Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome,
Welcome.
welcome to Conversations with My Cuz. I am Shayla Shay.
It is me, your girl Michelle with one L.
And it's me, brother Love. Love
I got
DJ.
a half a heart. I got a half a heart.
Right.
What's going on? What's been going on?
What's poppin'?
That's what I want to know.
What's going on, ladies? How was your weekend?
Yeah, you tell about your weekend show. Yours is a happy
Man,
story.
I had a dope weekend. Had a great time. Hung out with some of my tour people.
Tell us about
You know,
tall people.
I have a tour group. I'm in a part of called Tall and Thick, and every year we do a reunion.
Uh
And it's 3 days of drinking and more drinking. And fun and cookouts and food. Every year we have an amazing time. So I'm just getting back today. So I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted to say the least.
Well,
But
tell
I'm
me
here.
something. What's tall?
Tall is me because I'm 6 feet. So in
Okay.
order to be a part of the group, the women have to be I think it's 5'10" and up, and the men have to be 6'2" and up. We got
Ah.
women in at 6'6". Vashay would be in heaven.
Like,
Ah.
You know he liked the tall ladies. I think it makes him feel Randy or something. I don't know.
How long have you been in that group?
Oh, about almost 5 years. I think this is 5 years,
Wow.
if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
How many
Yeah, and
people do you think is in the group?
we only have over about 300. We kind of a close knit group because it's more like family
Mm-hmm.
environment. So everybody knows everybody and it's mad love. Hey, Turbo. Turbo was there too. Hey, Terrell.
Okay.
Turbo was there this weekend too. And it's, we travel together, we hang out together, we do things together, and it's like a family vibe, It's brothers and sisters, but sometimes it might be a little incest going on. Let me stop.
Lord have mercy.
that's my kind of party.
It's fun. It's fun.
But it's all love, vibe is good. And we just had a great time. We had a great time. We get
Okay.
together, so it was a vibe. So I enjoyed them.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so
Shout
glad
out to
hear
Tat,
that.
Talk Connect, Tat Connects. Shout out, y'all.
All
From,
right.
from the reaction of your post, I'm just saying, damn, I was all jealous. Like,
Yeah, you see all them tall women?
I
I'm
was-
considered. Somebody had the nerve to tell me I was a short tall. All my life, I have not been that. Like what?
You a short tall?
A short tall. I was like,
That's
how
hilarious.
dare you?
yeah,
But it
All
feels
right.
good to be around a bunch of people that I'm looking up to all weekend.
Right, because that's
That's
not
not my
usually your
life.
thing.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not my life. So it's dope.
yeah. So you like tall guys?
I love tall guys, but it's kind. You know what? I think that was a little
Because
shady. He
you
was taking a
dated
little
because
shot at
you
me.
dated shorter guys.
Yeah, because taller guys are hard to find, and it seemed like the taller guys like shorter women. But in this
Mhm.
group, they all love us
Oh,
Mm.
because not only are we tall, we're tall and thick.
oh.
Mm.
Shout out to thickness.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm glad you
how
had a
was your
good
weekend?
time.
Huh?
Shay, how was your weekend?
My weekend was all right. I went out yesterday a little bit, but I lost a very good friend this week, so it hasn't been a good
Oh,
feeling for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I'm like, let's talk about Shell's story. Sure, hers is happy, mine's is not. So yeah.
Yeah. So,
What about you, Rob?
what about you, Rob? What you do?
as you could tell, I'm on the road. You don't see the NY in the background. I'm on the hustle. I'm on the grind. I'm trying to make things happen. I'm down in the South. You know,
Okay.
it's hot as all everything out here.
Mm,
Hot as sugar.
Down there
Hot
with the
as
heat.
city. It's all right though. 'Cause,
okay.
I've been on the beach. I've been getting my body right. I'm saying my mind right. It's all good right now.
You getting it ready for Cabo, that's why.
Oh, speedo! You got to see. I had the speedos on yesterday.
Oh,
Did you
nobody took pictures, right?
Well, why didn't you take a picture of that?
It
You
was
might run some people away from the trip. Like, you're not gonna be out there being subjected to that.
I'm just saying.
Phil talking about kissing cousins. Phil, hush.
I know. Hey, Chanel, I see you in the chat.
Hey, Chanel, to the chat. Shout out to the chat. They rock with
And
us.
shout out to all of our handles, right? Our YouTube channel, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Blue Rain Radio, Facebook, IG. Did I forget one?
Listen,
I might have forgot one. Twitch.
There it is. Look.
Ah, there it is. All right. So
you shouted out Blue Rain Radio.
I shouted out Blue Rain Radio. So
everybody who listens to us,
you always
to watch us. Yeah.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. But Ross, so what's going on? You know, you're usually the trending topic dude. So let me hear it.
Oh man, I've been so busy. I haven't even really been nosy this week. Y'all got anything?
Yeah, something was going on. What was going on? We were talking about it this week. Something happened.
I know we talked about, we had a long conversation about the Monique thing.
Right.
We talked about that last week, didn't we?
I don't know what else is going on in the world these days. I've been a little disconnected.
Yeah, me too. I was just really just really.
Yeah.
It hasn't too much happened this week though.
That's a good thing.
I haven't really been on scrolling and things like that, so
because you was out partying.
Yeah, I wasn't even really on social media other than to post some pictures, but other than that, didn't we touch on the Monique thing last week? I think so. Yeah. I know. But they still beefing though.
Yeah,
they're still going back and forth.
It's getting out of hand. I mean, right now it's just crazy. You know, it's really getting out of hand.
His daughter sent a message to her talking about, if you want to sit down and have a conversation, let's sit down and have a conversation. And Monique responded to her and said, "Yes, we can have a conversation on DL's radio show." But that ain't what she said.
Yeah, okay. but then DL responded and said, "No way you will ever be on my radio show." It's gonna keep going back.
It's gonna keep going.
It's gonna keep going back and forth.
I think they really need to freaking have a conversation, but they need to take it out the media and to resolve it. Because if you want to just do it for likes and views, then it's not really sincere, in my opinion.
But why would you say they need to have a conversation?
Because you know why? Because first of all, they've been in the game for so long, and it's getting out of hand. Like, I hate to see our people just acting this way or doing this, going back and forth, whether it's celebrities or whoever. I don't like it, because it's probably something that could be resolved. Either we're going to resolve it and move on. We don't necessarily mean we have to be friends.
Right.
But let's just end this shit.
No, but why?
Do you think controversy sells?
It absolutely does.
So maybe that's why they're not, because both of them, the ratings are higher and people are tuning in a whole lot more, because people like mess as long as it's not their own.
That's true. People love mess. Yeah. But you know, I'm not team either one of them at the end of the day. I do feel like Monique's playing herself more and more and more as time goes on. She needs to chill. She needs to just...
I do believe though, if I ain't messing with you, I ain't messing with you. I mean, I ain't got to talk to you or deal with you about it. I mean, so if they don't want to resolve it and they walk two different ways, then hey, that's what it is.
But then let's do that then. Let's agree to do that.
Right, because usually what happens is when you come up to a thing to resolve a situation and deal with a situation, at that same time, that person, a lot of the time, still hold that little malice, and that situation is going to come up later on. So
if they have to deal with each other in a professional way, right? It's going to be unavoidable because they're comedians, and I know the comedian circuit is semi-small, right? At least there's levels to it. So when you're at a certain level, you tend to deal with some of the same people. So what's going to happen is she's not going to be able to be on the same show that maybe he is, or what?
Well, what do you think about that comment right there? White folks love to see black folks beefing.
I think people like to see people beefing. It's not just white.
Yeah,
black people love it too. Yeah, they love it. It'd be I put my glass to the wall if my neighbors is arguing. Don't play with me. Like, woo!
It was good. Girl, let me tell you, I was at the window like this with the blinds down.
My door.
You know, Michelle, when I have my little Facebook war, I got a phone call from Michelle 9 a.m. Go on Facebook.
I said, you better get up and get on this Facebook.
I got unfriended from laughing at that whole beef too.
Because that was hilarious. But I was like, y'all ain't gonna be doing this and he can't defend himself.
He didn't even know. He didn't
know what's going on. I called and I said, you better get up and get on Facebook right now.
I was unfriended.
But you know,
me and Shay was in the comments like,
I surely was. I was like, oh, wait, let me get my popcorn for y'all say something else. When that was over, they was like, probably went through the comments and was like, that's it, gotta go.
Yeah, she got to go. She got to go.
Got to go.
Yeah,
that was like they was going at it.
That got deep. That went past me. That went to somebody, mama, husband. Cousin.
Oh yeah, it got real nasty. But I didn't like the fact that they was going in on him and he wasn't there to be a part of it.
That's part of the problem, I think, with the Monique thing is that at some point, right, it can get out of hand. Because when you got to have your kids involved and so forth, at some point we need to come to some common ground. Both of y'all can put your middle finger in the air and then walk away. There's got to be something more you could do with yourself.
Well, what we didn't discuss though is how do y'all feel about her even involving the daughter?
Well, the daughter involved herself because she jumped in and had something to say, but Monique could have just been like whatever.
No, remember she posted the
that's right.
About the daughter and the attempted rape situation or whatever the situation was.
I think that was definitely a low blow. And I think that, you know, whatever she, I don't know what she got, she'll be back. Whatever her issue is with that man should have stayed there. Right. You know what I mean? If you went out there, you wanted to curse him out, that's your business, do what you do. But you started talking about his wife and his dog, and you mentioning his daughter, talking about then she posting the videos. She was doing way too much about that with that man. She was really mad. And that was not about that show. That was some personal shit that she had against him prior to that. But she talked about the man's dog. I'm like, damn, what the dog do to you?
She had a list. She was holding it.
But the funny part to me was he said that dog is reminding of my daddy.
She has some deep-seated issues going on.
I think him and her need to go sit on the council.
Yes.
Because I don't know who takes their dog on the road because they daddy can't no more.
Well, listen. One thing about dogs, that people have support dogs. And I understand that whole dog thing. Because my son is a dog lover, and that dog is his therapy for him. So that I get. But he did say something like the dog is his daddy. Like that's his daddy. It reminds him of his daddy. I carry my daddy with me.
That's my daddy with me.
This is my daddy. Listen, however you got to get through, you got to get through.
Yeah, I'm not a pet lover. Y'all know that already. So
yeah, I can take him or leave him. I got it. We got a dog here, but that's Lodge's dog. I'll be wanting to throw the dog out.
I think we need to toast to no more drama, no more beef.
Yes.
You know
we forgot our toast, but this is what I'm toasting to, guys, because I am.
Nah, not me. Do say who say.
I am detoxing my liver.
That's the move of someone who overdid it over the weekend.
Man, listen, I haven't drank in so long. So this weekend it was amazing.
Okay.
Oh, well, thank you. Somebody said my CWMC hat is kind of fly. If you want one, hit my inbox so I can get you one.
Very nice.
And I got a t-shirt too.
Hey.
I'm not wearing mine, but I will.
CWMC. So hit me up.
I know.
Inbox or email us.
I guess I ain't really down. I ain't got no merch, but we'll talk.
You a whole lot. You a whole lot.
You do.
I sent you a water bottle and I asked you, did you want the t-shirt? See how you getting on here lying to the people?
Like we mistreating him.
National television.
Mistreating him.
Just lying.
All right. Well,
abuse.
Yes.
You know what time it is, guys?
What time is it?
It is time for Let Me Ask My Cuz. No.
Let me ask my cuz. Go cousins. Go cousins. It's the cousins, y'all. It's the cousins.
Big
Go
rock.
Cousins.
Hey,
Hey, go Cousins, y'all. Go. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, all right. You got it out your system.
Yes.
All right. I have a question for you guys.
What's up?
The question is, do you believe in the power of change?
I'm gonna let y'all go first because I got something to say.
I absolutely do believe in the power of change. Because if you're really, really in a place of healing and elevation, then I do believe that that you can change. I do believe that your core of who you are is kind of who you are. But if you've been through some things and experienced a lot of things and you kind of act based off of those things, I do believe that you can change your behavior.
Okay.
I don't want to say you can change who you are, but I do believe you can change your behavior. Whereas you could maybe was loud and ratchet, you can kind of tweak that so you're not as loud as ratchet anymore. I mean, I do believe in the power of change. And I believe that people can change if they really, truly want to.
I believe that people are who they are in their core.
Mm-hmm.
And that part is not, that will never change. So if you're someone that is loud and ratchet, and that's who you are comfortable being, that's who you're going to be. So if you meet someone and that's how they show up, right? There's no way to be able to say that this particular characteristic is something that can be changed, because that's who they are when they show up. So for me, it's like accept them in the moment in their totality for who they are and don't expect that it will ever be anything different in them.
Okay. What you think, Ron?
No, ain't nobody changing. Bottom line, you are who you are. And
so that means you still an asshole.
Basically, from when he was a teenager.
Yeah, from when you was a child.
Yeah, I think that was like at his core. Okay, go ahead. We sorry.
Let me explain some things. Let me explain this to y'all because I'm about to take y'all to school.
Oh, God.
Okay. Here we go.
We don't have one of these moments today. I feel that way. Now, what I really feel like is that people in life, they fight who they are. For instance, when I was growing up, right, I my whole life, I tried to fight not to be like my dad. But guess what? That's who I am. So
why did you not want to be like him?
Right.
Are you saying that there are characteristics that aren't?
The characteristics was I wanted to be my own man. I wanted to be me. I didn't want to just have, wasn't nothing wrong with him. I just wanted to be mine. So my whole life, I'm fighting to be somebody that I'm not. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll put yourself into relationships. You'll put yourself into marriages. You have children with people, and you're creating this whole big lie and illusion because you want to be something else, or you want to be somebody wants you to be. And I really have a problem. It's a personal thing with me because I really feel like people need to accept people for who they are, or just keep it moving, move on. And like I said, now, can we grow up? Can we mature? Can we look at things from a different perspective as we grow older and stuff? Yes, that's true. But the core of who you are and how you get down is what it is. If you're a go-getter and you want to go get your money and you want to do this, that's who you are. Don't try to turn around and be that person that says, well, I want to walk another path. If you're not hurting nobody and you're not killing nobody, then listen, live your life and be happy for you. Don't change for nobody else.
I agree. Well, what about people that want to change for the better? Like, they're not satisfied with what their life is, but they want to change for the better.
You know what's funny? I had a conversation with I'm gonna tell you, I had a conversation with Phil on the flight down here before I got on the plane, and he tells me all the time is that I'm never happy with nothing, right? So, and I'm telling him what he doesn't understand is that I fight to do better. That's my personality. I don't settle. I just don't settle to be in one place in life. I believe in growth. So I'm going to continue to try to keep growing as much as I can. So if I make a plan to get 5, I'm gonna get 10. You understand what I'm saying? If I want 10, I got 15. That's just who I am. But some people aren't like that, and that's okay. You got to understand that maybe you're not that person that wants to climb that ladder. And I think a lot of people try to get people to fill certain shoes, and you're not that person.
Yeah, be who you are. Be your authentic. I'm sorry, Shay. Be your authentic self. But what about somebody who was on drugs and now they're not? Well, there's change there.
But to me, is that really change? I mean, again,
it absolutely is.
If you're not hurting yourself or hurting nobody else, again, if you're just doing wrong, then that's something else. I'm talking about being who you are to the core. Like, for instance,
no, that part I get. Being your authentic self. You should.
I'll give you a real life thought to me. A lot of people, I'm letting y'all know about our life right now, so don't tell nobody.
Oh right? My goodness.
So listen, a lot of people always wondered why I didn't smoke weed. Why I didn't smoke weed was because in my life, in family history, we might have issues with substance abuse or addiction. So to me, I was always, not that I wanted to stay away from weed, I was always afraid of weed because I never want to come to the point where I had to turn around and I needed to get high every day. That's not something that I wanted for my life. Now, so to me, if I seen people do coke, crack, I done sat up in rooms with in the industry and everybody sniffing but me. It was so bad. Even my dad one time said to me, he said, I'm really proud of you because the way you was raised and the lifestyle that you live, you never had an issue with drugs. But it was out of fear.
That marijuana, that gateway.
No. It's the gateway.
That's what they say. It's your fault.
That's why I never started. You know what I'm saying? So to me, with that, when you say the drug issues, that's just something wrong. But that person is still going to be that same person. Getting high, sober, you are who you are.
I agree to some degree because being that drugs do alter your personality and your thought process. When you stop doing those things, you think differently, so you move a little differently. I'm not going to say that there's some things that you still have to overcome. There's going to be some change in your life when you stop doing any type of substance because that substance is altering your brain. So when we think about that,
but sometimes your brain need to be altered a little bit. You need that break. You need to go to Hawaii every once in a while.
I think that
no, we're not condoning any type of
we're
drugs.
Not condoning
I'm not saying drugs. This other way.
Where's that disclaimer?
You see me, I'm searching for it.
What I was going to say as far as what Michelle and the point that you were trying to make is about people who experience trauma, right? And it's affecting how they show up in the world. And then you go through things like therapy or things that help you to deal with it can change the way you show up in the world.
It does, absolutely.
Right? Because that trauma is affecting who you are at your core, because instead of you being true to that core, you're reacting to the trauma. And that's how you're showing up in the world. And once you are healing in that space, then you have the ability to show up in the world a little bit differently. And in that way, I think that is a change that people can
behavior.
Make.
That's what I mean.
To be more authentic to who they are at their core.
Yes, agreed.
So again, like I said, even with the drug things, to me, of addictive behavior. So to me, if you feel like you have an addictive, mind or anything like that, to me, you shouldn't do anything. You shouldn't gamble. You shouldn't drink. You shouldn't smoke. You shouldn't, whatever it is, because you have addictive personality. That to me, that's just what it is. Like sometimes I feel like I'm not going to say I have an addictive personality, but I like what I like. So my fear was I might like that cocaine because I heard it's a hell of a drug. But I never even messed with it.
Your boy told you that?
Listen, guys, we got to move on to the next question. But we're going to put a pin in that one. So, yeah. Yeah, you don't might want to rumble with the damn white horse. So the next question is, what is the best relationship advice someone has ever given you?
I'm gonna give y'all a minute on that too, because I got something to say about it.
Well, Shay, you go ahead then.
I think the best advice, or one of the many things that people have shared with me, is that in a relationship you need to have your own life, maintain your own identity, right? Because oftentimes people get into relationships and they let go of every part of who they were prior to being in the relationship. And I was told that that especially with your girlfriends, you never lose your girlfriends in a relationship. You maintain some individuality that is about you while you're in that relationship. And I think that advice has served me well, because I didn't allow myself to get lost in the relationship or feel like I'm not being who I am, right? That person, you show up and then you all of a sudden you can't go out to the club because you're in this relationship. When you enjoy being out, then you maintain that to some degree respectfully, but those things that you enjoy, that you hold on to those things. So that was I think a really good piece of advice.
I totally agree with that. And I think that's great advice, because again, there's that struggle. You have to find that balance in your relationship. One piece of advice I would say is, I was talking to an older couple. They've been married for a really, really long time. And they said, and I was like, what's the key? What's the key? How do y'all get to 50 years or whatever to stay this long? And they said that the younger generation, they give up too fast. They kind of felt like, as soon as one little thing happens, it's like, all right, that's it. I'm done. It's over. And they don't work together to make something work so you can get to 55 years. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, I know y'all had to go to some shit to get to 55 years. You're not going to sit here and tell me that everything was great the whole 55 years.
Right. But, and it depends on what the issue is, right?
Right. Some things you can kind of just go through and move through it and keep it pushing, or you go through something and it might be terrible, but you either, because I'm quite sure that people separate, get back together. They do what they do. So I thought that was interesting. But in my mind, I'm like, shit.
that's like Rob when he talked about the dating apps, right? Because that's absolute, like, do one thing and I'm right back on that dating app and finding the next
Giving
thing.
Up too
so
easily.
You're not working on it at all. But then we also know that he's not on the dating apps to find a mate. He's on there to have fun. So there's
that's
that.
not true, but we'll talk. Well, that's not what
he's the fun time guy.
Not what you told us, but okay, you can change it on there.
That's not what I told you. What I told you is that I'm non-tolerant. So soon as my piece get broken,
you give up.
I don't give up. Log in.
Right. So you let go.
People out there.
You let go.
Why should why should my piece be broken? But that's not what we're talking about, right?
Right. So what's your piece of relationship advice, DJ Brother Love?
Piece of relationship advice. Shout out to John Crone. That man told me, don't you ever in your life move in with a woman. Every man needs to have his own.
Okay.
That is to me is what I preach to every young man that I meet. That is, and especially to young African American males, because you need to have your own. You need to really be able to take care of yourself.
Okay.
And when you're able to take care of yourself and you have your own, you actually get to choose your mate. It's not a need. Your partner is a choice. And that's the best thing in the world to be. So I think, honestly, when we start on these relationships, we need to have our own. As we grow, we'll figure it out later on. But a
There are
man,
some things that should be level set, right? Before you come into a
Right.
relationship, when you're dateable, because you have certain things in order, as opposed to needing a lot of things and needing your mate to come in and bring those things to the table for you.
right,
I get
right.
that.
But even that,
I get that.
don't even
Totally.
give up what you have until you're rock solid and you guys can move on as a couple.
And I think that advice also makes your standards higher,
Of course.
right? Because
Absolutely.
you're not going to settle for someone who has a whole lot less than you.
Absolutely.
Right? If you meet someone and they living with their mama, I mean, we're well past the age of having those issues, right? But
Some of
there
us
are those, right, who
Hold
are
up.
still living at home.
I wish I lived with Glow sometimes in my
No,
life.
you
Honey.
don't. No, you don't. No,
I
you
think
do
we should
not.
drive her nuts.
Hey, mama, I'm gonna take my old room back.
But yeah, I think that definitely allows you to have a higher standard, as we all should. You should
As we
be
all should.
looking to be in a relationship with someone
Absolutely.
who matches your
Because
greatness.
you know,
Meet them where they're at too.
I
And
remember
wherever that's at, move forward.
right, I remember it was a guy, right? He was dating somebody. I'm not gonna get into the people, but I told him he was about 50 at that time. And I was like, look at you. I said, you're a great guy. I said, you have a great career. You're over 100,000 plus, you do this, and you have nothing to show for what you did in your life. And the problem is because you go from one relationship and then you settle somewhere and stay with a friend and this, that, and the other. You get with another woman and you move into her house. And that don't work. And then the future that you're building up somebody else's future to break your future down. You know, so
Okay.
now you're sitting here, you know, you made $100,000 the past 10 years, but guess what? That's $1 million. You invested in relationships that you have nothing to be accountable for.
Mm.
You know, and that's really the thing is bad. And what it is too is when you have your own as a man, you're always to say, you know what, this is too much. This is not what I was really looking to be into. And you can go back to your safe haven and
log on, right?
log on.
Yeah, log
And
on.
log back on. And log on.
All
Don't
right.
be hating. Don't be hating.
No,
Shout out to logging
just-
on.
Okay.
Shout out.
I logged off, okay, because that wasn't my thing.
I am.
Y'all don't know what we're talking about, but you gotta go back and watch the dating show.
For different folks.
Watch the dating show. So talking about what Shay was touching on the her part when you were speaking about the question, best relationship advice is having your own identity within your relationship. And that can be a problem if you're not sure what the difference is between love versus control.
Mhm.
Yes.
Which is our topic for today.
Yes.
How do you know if
Absolutely.
you're in a relationship where there's control or where it's just genuine love?
Oh, I don't know if you know it until it's happening to you. And someone will say or do something, and all of a sudden it doesn't sit well with you, and you're in a place where it's like they're being overbearing and trying to push an issue becomes control. But I don't think you know it. It's just like love, right? You don't know it until you have it. And in that, right, it's certain behaviors I think that comes to play when your mate is trying to control you. I think jealousy is a controlling characteristic.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
My thing is, why don't you know you're in a relationship where you're being controlled, though? Because the characteristics of being in a controlling relationship are so strong.
I think people
and
don't
profound.
think that that's what it is, right? Because I identify jealousy as control. And other people think that when your mate is jealous, it's because they're showing love, that they love you so much that, the thought of someone else being around makes them jealous. But to me, that's you just trying to make me feel like I can't have anybody around me. And that's
Right.
control. So it depends on how you perceive the particular thing, whether or not it resonates with you as that.
As being unhealthy.
Right. And controlling. Some people think that's love. I don't. I think that's a characteristic of someone who wants to control the situation.
It is. Absolutely it is.
So let me ask y'all a question. We're going to keep it real tonight on this situation.
Here we go.
I really need some understanding on this. So let's talk about our African American sisters.
Well, let's talk about them, DJ Brother Love.
Do you think that a lot of them are controlling or they're loving?
You're asking if women, Black women in particular,
right. Because again, I do a lot of traveling. I've been around the world, did a couple things, so I'm very informative about what I'm asking. So before I make that statement, I want to ask what y'all opinion is.
Well, I'm gonna say this, DJ, who travels around the world and been around a lot of people and know a lot of things and places, that if you got all that going on, why don't you tell us what you think about it?
No,
I'm saying that you're telling me that you got your finger on the pulse. So let me hear what you think.
No. I'm asking another woman because before I really put my thought in, I want to know how do y'all feel, because y'all are African American women. So and you have you have a lot of African American women friends.
I do, but something. Right. So I also have not been in a relationship with an African American woman to know if she's controlling.
I got an answer.
Okay. Thank you, because I'm
going to say, because that's such a general and broad question. Because of course we cannot speak for all African American women.
Let's get to it.
So of course we can only speak from our own perspectives and who we are as women. Yep. I do think that Black women are seen in a certain way, in a certain light, because we've often been called the angry Black woman. We've all the negative terms that Black women could be is attached to us as Black women,
right?
And even controlling. I do think that if a woman is controlling in a relationship, it comes from something. It comes from something, and I'm not going to say that that's all Black women, because we are not all raised to be controlling Black women. Mm-hmm. Since you want to generalize,
I think that's about insecurity. But okay,
now it absolutely is about insecurity.
Fighting at the bit to get to whatever it was you was trying to say.
Okay.
So let's hear it.
Here we go.
Phil said you just.
Yeah, I know what he said.
Rahism.
Yeah, I'm about to talk about the rahism because sometimes he need to listen. But listen, what I'm trying to get y'all to understand is that to me, African American males have a hard time connecting with African American women.
Or controlling us? Is that what you was about to say?
No. Listen to me. Productive African American males, have a hard time connecting with productive African American females,
and because they're controlling.
Because I believe it's a controlling aspect. Because again, it's a different day and time, right? So we're not back in the 80s and the 90s, where men were really doing a lot of the dominating. Women are bus drivers. They could be garbage men. I mean, they're lawyers. They're doctors. They're making more money. They're actually, they're acquiring more. They're striving and they're doing better than they ever been. So as they accumulate things in life and they get to a certain status, to me, I find them having a thing where they deal with men less than them, which gets them to control the situation that they're in. Because you might meet a woman with a house that owns their own home, that has their own car, that has their own career, that has their own 401k, this, that, and the other. And guess what? At some point in time, when you meet a man that has that same thing going on, now when y'all are trying to grow, it's like, hold up, I got this already. You understand what I'm saying? So if I get with a guy that doesn't have this, he's always going to be able to be available and to support my dream. You understand what I'm saying? And to me, it's like I just find it hard when you have a productive guy and he's has a career, he's into getting assets and stuff like that, it's hard because now it becomes a discussion on what we're going to do, not on what I have and on how it is. So when you get with this guy that has less, he's really just going along for the ride. You understand?
I think that's a self-esteem issue. I think that women or people, because I would say that men do the same thing, because it's not just about women. There are certainly men that choose women because they have less than, because then that woman will see them in a different light and think that they're awesome and great and fabulous, where they level up to a woman on their stature, and I use that word lightly. That woman might question, right, a lot of things that someone who has less than wouldn't. So it often happens where you date in a different space than what you're in. So but I think that's about self-esteem, because when you really value yourself as a person, you don't allow someone in your space that is going to bring you down or not help you level up even further.
Absolutely.
Because as you said, Rod, that you are the kind of person who likes to continue to strive for greatness. So you wouldn't be, I'm assuming, a woman who is very complacent in her job that she's had for 25 years, making $65,000, and it's enough to pay all her bills, may not be the kind of woman that is going to sit well in your space, because you need a go-getter like you, at least in her mentality. So, and that has a lot to do with the value of life that you are trying to build for yourself, that you wouldn't allow that. So yeah, it definitely happens, but there are certain things that people do when they're trying to control you in a relationship, and that's really what we're talking about, how to recognize it.
Right, but when I see is controlling is like I said again, I have even a lot of female friends, not even with me dating anyone or anything, but it's like at the same time, it's like, what they like, why are you dating this guy? Like, it's no reason. Like, this doesn't even make any sense. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you're not leveling up yet, but you have that control because it's your house. Ultimately, God forbid something happens to you, this asset goes to your kids. You understand what I'm saying? This goes to that. I mean, it's kind of a situation where, to me, it is controlling, because you're controlling the whole narrative on building anything. And men do it. Men do it. And you're right. But the funny part about it is, when it comes to men, I don't really think it's a controlling thing. I believe because men are protectors and they are providers. You understand what I'm saying?
I get that.
You don't really look for a woman to really, really help you level up. You understand what I'm saying? Because your man your job as a man is to provide and to protect. So if you're really doing these things and a woman does have a little less than you, whatever the case may have been, then that's fine. But to me, I believe women accept less because it gives them the narrative to control everything that goes on in a relationship.
Well, I think that, sorry, were you going to say something? You did the finger?
Yeah, I just was trying to go back to what the actual topic is when it comes to love versus control, and we're talking about the differences between the two. I think there is a fine line. Well, it might not be a fine line, but people may not really understand what that difference is, because you, like you were saying earlier, because you're in it. So you're not recognizing that it's a control issue as opposed to just someone genuinely loving you. Some people think that being hit means that man loves them.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's crazy.
It doesn't see that as control. You know what is another one that I think people sleep on? Yelling at your mate is a control thing, especially if a man is bearing down and yelling at a woman, right? Because
It's
we're not
intimidation.
physically, it is intimidation. And you're yelling because you want control over the situation, whatever that thing is, even without name calling and whatever. If you get to the point where you're supposed to be having a discussion and you begin yelling at the person, that's you forcing your issue and trying to control the narrative of the relationship, to shut that person down to the point where at some point it becomes name calling and so forth. So
Yeah, because anytime you have to yell at each other in a relationship, we talked about this before, that is abuse. And it's not saying that one is doing the other. It's yeah, it is. It is.
it is.
If I have to yell at you and you have to yell at me and we cannot have a conversation, that's unhealthy and it's toxic.
But okay, so to me is when it comes to that comes to growing up. You understand what I'm saying? I think the younger couples, you're probably going to go through that. As we get older and we understand, me, I'm not yelling, I'm not fighting with nobody. I love you, baby, and that's it. What are we going to do? That's my answer to everything. I ain't got time to be yelling and fighting.
I mean, if you see it, you grow up seeing it. You're
what I'm
probably
saying,
copy it.
But what I'm saying is that at certain times is that's about maturity. So to me, if a man has to sit back and yell and holler and scream at a woman, matter of fact, if a woman has to holler and scream at me, you understand? And you're right, that's more of a controlling thing because I remember I used to laugh at it. Now it's a point where, and that's what I'm telling you about leveling up and maturing. As soon as a woman start yelling at me, log in.
Oh God.
And agreed, Jerome said you're yelling to be heard because you feel unheard. So
Correct.
in that moment, the person that you're with is not listening to you.
And
so
that's the loving thing. Love is listening.
Love is listening.
Listening.
Right, but see, the problem is sometimes people feel in their mind that they're not being heard, and they actually are.
Well, if you're communicating properly, then it's not just in your mind.
No. It's not in your mind, right?
Sometimes you're in a relationship and it's always something wrong. Y'all have never been there?
Well, then we break up.
But log in.
Okay, when you're in an unhealthy situation, yes.
Right, exactly. But
but it's also not in your mind. You're just in a toxic relationship and you're not being heard. I gotta get because that being heard could even stem from not necessarily just in that relationship. It could be just period, growing up too.
But
it could be unhealed trauma. So now you feel like this person is not listening to you, and it could be because of their reaction to what you're saying. So if a person is not reacting a way that you think they should, now you got to yell. Now you're arguing. Now you're fighting. Now you're going through all these different exchanges because you're not feeling like you're being heard. So
and you accuse the person of doing certain things, and that to me again is another thing about trying to control the narrative. Because you should be able
like
to
Phil
express.
said, yelling is the only way to affect it. Right. So they think that in order for me to get my message across, because I feel like they're not listening, I am going to yell.
Mm-hmm.
But again, sometimes, all right, so let me tell you something.
No, it doesn't make them listen more. We're just saying that that's part of the problem.
I remember.
It doesn't.
No. So
they're not listening more. They become defensive and then
they block you out. And right,
exactly.
I remember this. So I was in a relationship, right? So we went to couples counseling. So the counselor says, before we do this together, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to the young lady. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to the young lady. Always vice versa. I want to talk to whatever the case may have been. It was two of them. Two with her, two with me. So she went first, I went. She went second, I went. By the end of the therapy session, he says, I want to tell you something. He says to me, I can't go to tell you to break up whatever it is you're going through. But what I am going to say is everything that I spoke to your partner about was on a negative vibe. And everything I spoke to you about was on a positive and moving forward vibe and trying to figure it out. So what he said to me was, this issue that this woman has is not going to only be the issue with you. It's going to be the issue with every man she comes to encounter with. So I need you to make a decision on where you're going to go through with the relationship. So I took that with me, and the relationship evidently, you know what I'm saying, Rod's playing and all that now. So, you know, the relationship didn't work out. But what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is when people say they are not feeling like they're not being heard, you are being heard. It's just that you have to choose in your mind if you're hearing or you're understanding what the other person is trying to tell you. Some people just in their life have the situation where it's always they feel it's always issues. Now I know this young lady, and she's having the same issues in her later relationships than she had kind of when she was with me. It was going back to the same thing the therapist had said 15 years ago. And so that person has issues. And that
might have, yeah, definitely, absolutely. Now that's
your specific situation. That's not
right.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that the moral of the story is that when somebody's feeling like they're not being heard, that's not always true. Because in their mind,
we agree.
They're feeling like they're not being heard.
We agree.
Right. And that's what, and we did make that point before you got into the story, is that sometimes in relationships, it is your perception about what is happening. And because you perceive it to be that thing, you say they're not listening. And that's when the yelling comes in and the accusing them of not listening instead of having a conversation about it. Because when you're approaching it from a place of love, you want to be in a space where you allow that person to also say, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. And this is what I think I hear you saying, so that you can say, well, no, that's not exactly what I'm trying to say. But, you know, here's a more clarity on the situation. And that's dialogue that happens when you're in a loving relationship versus a controlling.
And that's listening to understand and not listening to speak, because because even if you're in a relationship with someone and they may, and well, like Phil said, if you know your triggers, wouldn't it help to understand how to control your triggers? I agree. Not everybody knows their triggers, which is also their problem, because they should be figuring that out. So that part I get. And I do agree with you when you said we let our triggers determine our relationship and allow it to be an excuse to our unacceptable actions. And I also agree with. But we're speaking about trying to figure out a way to, you know, have these conversations from a place of love. Like me and Shay have a love sandwich, you know, so when we start off our conversations with that, we know, okay, I'm gonna calm my ass down because
I
right now I want to cuss her ass out.
A love sandwich is a very necessary tool for us, because Michelle and I don't hold punches when it comes to having to say something that I feel she needs to hear, or vice versa. And so you come with the great, like, girl, you the bomb, and this, that, and the other, and you handle that situation mostly okay. However, right, and that's the part. And when we developed that, it was because we wanted to take away the defense trigger, when someone says something to you hurtful, right? Because you know that it's going to sting when you say it. So knowing that puts me in a place of saying, I know that she needs to say something to me that I have to listen to, whether I agree or not, and just accept it and mull it over, and then we can talk about it again, right? That to me is one of the ways that we've been able to continue to have a healthy relationship. That and hanging up sometimes.
Because
I gotta talk to you later.
Because sometimes the things that she says, or I might say, may sting. And you have to go back and think about it for a minute and be like, all right. And then come back and address it.
When that comes into something with friendships, you know, like me and the guy on the couch, we always know, like, it's always something heated with us. And sometimes, you know, you understand is what I learned to do is when I'm feeling a certain way, I'll ask a question instead of giving my opinion. You understand what I'm saying? So now I feel like we're engaging more into a conversation. I've never done that personally. I was always opinion. What that motherfucking crazy? That shit. I really don't do that now. You know, I will ask.
I think we all have grown up like that because sometimes the way we talk to each other.
No,
you know, if people could hear us in the back room.
It depends now. It depends because, like a lot of the times, it depends on who you're having the friendship or the relationship with. Because some friends, I can get into that, and
right.
It's cool, but so other people, you can't. You understand what I'm saying? So you and then going back into relationships, you have to engage. You have to learn to engage with the person that you're dealing with. You understand what I'm saying? Like I
agree.
Said, it's like a couple women, you know, we date and we haven't got it right, but we still might communicate and stuff like that. And communications is always better as you know, as the more you grow and the more you mature. You know, you just gotta really, really have to learn how to really, really communicate with people. And I think that if people don't want to communicate with you and they have to start the hollering and screaming, that's controlling behavior.
It is.
It absolutely is. It absolutely.
You know what else is manipulating someone with the desire to be loved, right? Because there are relationships with men and women where, unless you are behaving in a certain way, then they will take love away. Right? Hold it over your head like a carrot. If you sit down and you're quiet and you're this and that, then baby, when we get home, I'm going to love you to death. But the moment that you open your mouth and you have an opinion and you do certain things, then that's judged. And therefore you're not in a place of receiving love. You don't deserve it. And they use that to manipulate you.
Agreed.
And so just in thinking about ways that, you know, you just got to kind of keep your eyes open to those things in relationships when you see it coming along to protect yourself from it. Know that that is not a love, you know, behavior from your mate, and that you need different things to require it so that you're not caught up in a bad relationship or feeling unloved and really put yourself in a place where you're being controlled. So,
yeah, you know, one more thing is that in a lot of controlling relationships also leads into abuse, if it's physical or if it's mental.
It can.
And that's where we actually got the topic for the show this week was looking at the conversation that we had last week.
And if you didn't watch it, go check it out.
Yeah, if you didn't watch it, go check it out. It was deep, and that was a controlling situation that had also led to it.
Yeah, definitely. That's where it stemmed from. So I think this was a great topic, and I was almost here, so we got to wrap it up. We went over super crazy last week, so we're gonna try to stay.
It was necessary.
It was necessary last week.
Yes.
So y'all, if y'all haven't seen last week's show, go to YouTube and check it out. We had Kia Jeffries on, and she was so candid about her experience. And I think it's a dope conversation. So go check that out.
Yes, and just to say, I really did appreciate her coming on and just sharing her story.
Shout out to Kia. She didn't have to come on here and open up the way that she did, and I really think she gave us an exclusive because there was a lot of things that she talked about that I didn't even know. And
right, and we've known her, so
yeah, our whole life.
So there's that.
But anyway, as you guys know, we always end every show with a quote, and that quote is: "Love is about giving freedom and power, not about gaining control or possession."
Love it.
And we will see you guys next week. Peace and love, y'all.
Peace.
I'm Team Remy's on DJ Big Rob. As we bring down the Cabo Experience 2022, I'm bringing talent, I'm bringing stiletto, I'm bringing Kenny Williams, I'm bringing DJ Warren, DJ Zah, DJ Storm, DJ K-Dog, and Uptown Zone, Jeff Frank. For more info, go to www.theteamremy.com and you're drawing, hold up. Go to www.theteamremy.com as we bring you all around. 5 days, 4 nights, opening party in the sky, shake your day pool party, Madness party featuring Jeff Frank, all white Bon Voyage comedy show, special performance by RL. Yes, Big Rod's gonna be on the day, and I'm bringing my cousin king.